Gliscor has won a 100 plus player online tournament recently, and we're going to be trying out a really interesting set featuring Hyper Cutter and Choice Band and seeing how well it can perform. This is a recreation of the team that won the Tommy Tuesdays, a tournament that had over 100 plus players. We have the Ninetales to start off with the snow mode, and normally we see choice specs on the Ninetales, sometimes Focus Sash or Life Orb. They've been going more offensive recently, being able to utilize really strong ice type coverage attacks, which is pretty solid in this format, alongside being one of the fastest Pokemon. But with that, Light Clay is a set we don't commonly see in this format. Still a really good option because of that Aurora Veil. Being able to get 8 turns of both Reflect and Light Screen in one turn is fantastic, and has really good coverage, as I mentioned before. The Blizzard and Freeze Dry. Really, the Ninetales here is just to set up that Aurora Veil for the rest of the team, as well as provide that snow to help out cancel opposing weather, and being able to utilize it a bit on this team, as we'll see in a little while. We have the Tera Water on the Ninetales as one of the better defensive typings to be able to resist the fire and steel type moves that affect the Ninetales, and overall it's a pretty strong option on this team. Next, we're going to pair it up with that Kingambit, and that Kingambit does have that Defiant, which does increase its attack stat by 2 stages when it has a stat drop. With that Assault Vest, just making it really bulky. Under Aurora Veil, with Assault Vest on the Kingambit, with its already naturally high physical defense, it's really hard to break through the Kingambit. So it's able to do a lot of damage, stick around in the field. That Terra Flying option to get rid of a ground weakness as well as fighting weakness, and just able to go for really strong hits with that Assurance that can double in power if the target has taken any damage on that turn. The Iron Head is really strong for the fairy types, especially against opposing Ninetales, and the Sucker Punch for the priority, the Low Kick for helping out against other Kingambit, as well as Incineroar and more. Just a really strong option, and it pairs fantastically, as we'll see why, with this Gliscor. This Gliscor is a main focal point to this team. Now, its stats aren't exactly the most incredible, but it does have some good ones. It has base 75 HP and special defense, 95 speed, which is actually pretty fast, 125 physical defense, which is pretty impressive, but not the best attack stat. It's only base 95, but that's where Hyper Cutter and Choice Band really come in handy. Hyper Cutter prevents it from getting intimidated, which is really nice, as you don't have to worry about Incineroars lowering your damage output, and then Choice Band to help mitigate and improve that physical attack stat that isn't the greatest, so it can actually do some pretty good damage. What's really nice about this Gliscor set is that it also has the Tera Ice, and because of the snow boost in this generation, where you're able to get a physical defense boost in snow with ice types, it's actually pretty awesome, getting a base 125 defense stat that you already have naturally really good, that you're just able to boost on top of that. So it's really able to tank those physical attacks well, and still able to do a good amount of damage with great coverage. Earthquake ground flying is just incredible. The Earthquake really pairs well with the Terra Flying Kingambit. I'd say it's probably the more likely Terra you're going to go with this team. It's a really strong option because you can go for like an Earthquake and Assurance combination with that Terra Flying Kingambit, not taking any damage, and the double power up can really do massive amounts of damage. The Dual Wing Beat's really nice to hit the grass types, as well as Sneasler, playing around that Focus Sash. Tera Ice Tera Blast is an option if you want to hit flying types, as well as dragon types like Garchomp, Dragonite, Rillaboom, Moongus, and more. And then U-turn to pivot around. It's a really cool set on the Gliscor that's just able to really do a lot of damage with that Aurora Veil, able to increase the bulk of the Kingambit and the Gliscor, and just dish out a lot of damage, and it's pretty fast as well. Next, we have, to increase the bulk of this team, the Incineroar with the Intimidate, just having good coverage in the fire and dark typings, which is great defensively because you already have 2 fire weaknesses with the Ninetales and the Kingambit. This one running an interesting set. It's actually running the Rocky Helmet set instead of like a safety goggles, and mainly that Rocky Helmet. There are 2 reasons why you have Rocky Helmet on this team. One is mainly to break any Focus Ashes if you really need to, like against Sneasler for instance, which is pretty nice. But the main one is because if you switch in Incineroar and a Pokemon that's faster than Kingambit does go for a physical attack in Incineroar, they take the Rocky Helmet damage, and then if Kingambit follows up with an Assurance, it's actually going to be that 120 base power Assurance because it doubled in power. So that's why you have Rocky Helmet on the Incineroar, because if you do pivot and you get that Rocky Helmet chip, that Assurance is just going to pay off more dividends. The Tera Fairy is an interesting option, but it's still a Tera typing that's able to resist the fighting type attacks, which is the main one. Also against dragon moves as well, so not too bad. We have the standard Incineroar otherwise with Flare Blitz, Knockoff, Fake Out, Parting Shot. Just supposed to be bulky as a way to pivot in attacks, make your Pokemon be able to take attacks better because of that Intimidate. And again, a good defensive typing in general as a switch in. Following that is going to be a pretty strong Archaludon with the Stalwart ability that we've been seeing recently. Just be able to pick up knockouts and avoid that redirection from stuff like Amoonguss, Clefable, and more. That Power Herb, of course, for the Electro Shot, able to do quite a bit. With that Thunderbolt as well, the dual electric coverage, Dragon Pulse as well. The only really interesting thing is this Archaludon's actually designed to run a Tera Ghost instead of a Tera Electric that we commonly see on this set. And that's to help out against fighting types as well, prevent fake outs happening, so you can always just go for that turn 1 Electro Shot if needed. Finally, the last Pokemon to provide some speed control to this team, we have the Compound Eyes Vivillon. And yes, I did actually pronounce it right. It has taken a while, but yes, you have the Compound Eyes Vivillon with that Focus Sash that is pretty disruptive because you do have the fast Sleep Powder option and Tailwind support, as well as a Pokemon that's also immune to Earthquake. So you can still go for Earthquake next to a partner with the Gliscor and not have to worry about taking damage. You have that Sleep Powder option, of course, really strong. Hurricane, really good flying coverage. And yeah, it's just able to support the team so that Gliscor and Kingambit can just do more damage that it likes to. The main mode I would say for this team is setting up that Aurora with that Ninetales, utilizing it so Kingambit and Gliscor become really tanky and can just dish out a lot of damage, especially with the really strong moves that Gliscor provides, followed up by an Assurance combination from Kingambit. It's just able to tank attacks super well through that Aurora and using the Incineroar to pivot around to get into a safer spot. And then you also have that Tailwind mode with Vivillon, where if Ninetales can't have that Aurora more reliably, or you need to stall out some turns, you do have that Sleep Powder option with the Vivillon, as well as Tailwind if you do need that speed control option. If you would like to check out the details of the team and the original creator, they'll be linked in the description down below. Ursaluna, Porygon 2, Incineroar, Amoonguss, Flamigo, and Garchomp. Alright, so E2 Ursaluna stuff, a bit scary. I do have decent amount of tools, I suppose. I do like Ninetales getting up Auroraville. Ninetales Auroraville is super nice in this game. I could threaten Sleep Powders, but I don't think I need to against this team. I like Ninetales, I like Incineroar. Gliscor is pretty good as a switch, and Kingambit with Tera Flying is pretty solid. If I can knock off items, it's really, really good for my team. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Get rid of the items because I can't eliminate the Porygon too quickly. And the thing is, I also, like, I could lead something like Incineroar and Kingambit where I could knock off into Assurance. I don't know if that picks as a knockout on Porygon 2. I don't think so. Probably barely misses the knockout. But also the Flamigo means that I have to lead something that actually kind of threatens it. And Incineroar plus the Ninetales is a pretty good lead because I can set up Auroraville, I break the Sash with the Rocky Helmet, and then I get a knockoff into like a partner. So I do think it is one of my best leads that I do have here. Amoonguss is just tough for this team though because I don't have any Spore switching, so hoping that they either don't bring Amoonguss or we'll see. But we do see the Amoonguss lead immediately, which is not too surprising. But I mean, Ninetales plus Incineroar, pretty good lead here. Depends heavily on the Amoonguss item. Is it the Covert Cloak or not is going to be a good question. I do think that Auroraville is pretty strong here for that setup. So I will go for an Auroraville with my team. And I am... So I either stay in or I could go to Gliscor, but I don't want to take a Spore. So I think I'm just going to fake out the Amoonguss. As long as it's not Covert Cloak, I should be good. So I like the idea of fake out. I like the idea of the Auroraville. If they double protect, it ends up working out really well for me because I do get that Auroraville set up for free. And again, if Flamigo does decide to go for a close combat, they lose their Focus Sash, which is really, really difficult for them. So fake out going to come out into the Amoonguss. Auroraville set up. Incineroar will be able to hang on from the Flamigo attack as well, which is pretty important. If they go for close combat. Yeah, Incineroar is able to hang on. Nice. I think I'm just going to go for Blizzard and Flare Blitz here into the Mungus. Like the two plays that I could see are Wide Guard here or a Tera from the Amoonguss. And I think Flare Blitz Blizzard covers for most, because I think with the fake out, Flare Blitz might KO the Amoonguss barely, which would be super ideal. Blizzard gonna fail. All right. I mean, as long as I have the 8 turns of Aurora Veil, I'm still in a really good spot, especially with the weakened Amoonguss. It's going to be harder for my opponent to switch in attacks. Ooh, that took it way better than I expected, actually. Huh. Citrus Berry. This might be trickier than I thought. This is probably Spore into Ninetales then. Yeah. I do get to burn turns of sleep, but they get to get their Focus Sash potentially back. Although it shouldn't matter with Gliscor, but losing Incineroar is not the best. It depends heavily on what they have remaining. I mean, I'm just going to go for a knockoff and I know Incineroar is going down here. Maybe I should have went for Flare Blitz, but in case they switch out for some reason and decide to get damage on the Ninetales, I'd rather just get the knockoff into the Amoonguss. It should always be a KO into Incineroar and a Pollen Puff though. Yep. Okay. I don't think the spot is awful though. I really don't. Because I'm pretty sure I get to come in with my Gliscor and threaten a huge amount of damage with dual Wing Beat. Oh, they Sludge Bomb. They might not have Pollen Puff? Okay. Actually does a pretty significant chunk. We go into Gliscor. We do threaten to dual Wing Beat. I'm just going to go for Freeze Dry and I'm going to go for dual Wing Beat. Try Blizzard because I don't think they ever click Wide Guard here. I think I'm just gonna Blizzard and dual Wing Beat. I get extra chip as well. Problem is, where's my Tera going? I feel like it's probably King Gambit still. There was also a world where they could go Incineroar, but I don't want to go King Gambit because I don't want them to close combat my Ninetales and I switch on to King Gambit and that ends up being really bad. So I think I have to dual Wing Beats here, the Amoonguss, and I have to Blizzard. Or I could Freeze Dry, but I think Blizzard's okay because I'm pretty sure Choice Band, dual Wing Beat should get the Amoonguss. As long as it doesn't Tera. If it Teras, then it's a bit questionable, but they don't Tera. Alright, Ninetales still asleep. I hate this move so much. I hate this move so much. Okay, they use Sludge Bomb. Sure. I hate this move so much, man. Okay. Unlucky. It's still playable. Problem is I haven't gotten King Gambit in safely, and I would have really loved getting King Gambit safely. Alright, we're finally going to see a Tera come out. This might be a Amoonguss. But if they can't Tera anything else in the back, this might still be usable. I'd probably Dragon Tera. Do I wake up and get a Blizzard off? Man, I should have Freeze Dried, but sure. Ninetales asleep. Unlucky. Do we hit the dual Wing Beats and KO the Amoonguss? No, we barely missed a knockout, looks like, unless we crit the second hit. Nope. Unlucky. They really are adamant about KOing the Ninetales. Alright. So it looks like I'm forced to Tera my King Gambit, which is not awful. But yeah, I am going to Tera the King Gambit. I'm going to go for my dual Wing Beat into the Flamigo, and I'm going to kowtow the Amoonguss, I suppose. Or not kowtow, but Assurance. Actually, no, I should Iron Head. It's Iron Head and dual Wing Beat. They just went for the Wide Guard, so Flamigo would have to either be attempting a double attack that switches out, or it goes for close combat. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Rage Powder plus a close combat into King Gambit because it does force my Tera hand. We're gonna see a Amoonguss retreat, actually. Okay. Porygon? Yeah. Might be a game. I'm kind of curious if this can be a game, but maybe. Because I get damage in a Porygon too. There is the... Alright. Here is the Tera on the Kingambit. I think it depends heavily on the last. We hit the dual wing beats in the Flamigo, so Flamigo goes down. I kind of wish I went for dual wing beat assurance double up into Porygon 2 because that would have done a lot of damage, but this is still acceptable. Iron Head going to come out into the Porygon. Not bad damage, but sure. Is this a Mungus? If it's a Mungus, I'm going to go for dual wing beat assurance into Porygon 2, and it looks like a Mungus is coming in. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Rage Powder, but if they do attempt to Spore, I think this actually works out really well for me. But let's see. I kind of need to hope for mess ups here. They retreated into what? Ursaluna? Wait, I'm going to get way more offensive pressure. Wait. Because here's a dual wing beat into Porygon. And then I outspeed KO with Assurance double up. The crit shouldn't matter because Assurance should have picked up the knockout. Yeah. The Porygon goes down. That's incredible. No Trick Room is on the board. Wait, they might have given me an out. I guess you keep playing until they give you a potential out. I think Aurora Veil, one more turn still. Nice. So I should live any Facade here, and I should be able to get the KO on a Mungus with Assurance plus the dual wing beat combination. They might double protect to stall out, but I'm not giving them the opportunity to go for Protect Ursaluna Spore here. That's 100% not happening. So it's kind of a mind game at the same time. But okay, wait, hold on. They give me the dual wing beats into a Mungus with the Assurance double up. I have Aurora Veil, so I think these both Pokemon with really high physical defense can survive one Facade, even if it's Ursaluna. I think they heavily messed up by not going for Rage Powder earlier. I think they heavily messed up. Facade into Kingambit with the... Oh my goodness, that's such a big survival. That's such a big survival. Unfortunately, we do need one more thing to go right in our favor, and that's hitting this dual wing beats the turn I'm going for Assurance. I could go for a low kick instead, but I might need the extra damage, I think, with Assurance, with dual wing beat. Also, if I miss a dual wing beat, I probably had lost anyway. Oh my goodness, I land this dual wing beat. I land this dual wing beat. Assurance into Ursaluna. This should pick up the knockout. Or maybe not, but super close. They Facade the Gliscor. And because they Facade the Gliscor, they don't even have the chance of a miss here. So now I can actually just win the game against Ursaluna. Holy throw. But that's why you keep playing, because there is a world where your opponent can throw, and they did on my side. Because I was in desperation mode of just trying to get like this Trick Room not set up, but because I think they wanted to get Ursaluna in while Trick Room was up, and they thought like I had no chance of KOing the Porygon 2, so they were like, okay, I get the Regenerator, I get the free switch into Ursaluna, and I'm in a good spot. But because I focused on the Porygon 2 to prevent Trick Room, because I'd be playing the sleep games, because if they did Spore, at least the Ursaluna has to come in while it's not burned, and then still maybe technically possible. But because they just decided to just like not put on the Spore pressure, I was able to actually get the knockout on Porygon 2, which they did not anticipate. Oh, this matchup is so scary for this team. Excalibur with Rillaboom, Kingambit, Dondozo, Volcarona, and Sneasler. This is extremely tough because the Excalibur makes this matchup dynamic a lot more difficult, I think, than Dragapult. With Dragapult, I have to watch out for like the fast attacks. But with Excalibur, it kind of pins a lot of my slots, because a lot of the time I'm going for like Tera with Kingambit, or I have to watch out for Gliscor. Because they have a Kingambit, this is going to be super scary. I think I'm going to lead Kingambit here. Kingambit plus... Who do I want to lead here? I need to make sure I don't lose to Volcarona lead, so I think I'm always forced to lead Gliscor as much as I don't like it. I think Ninetales in the back is solid. The thing is also with Excalibur, since a lot of the ways I'm putting pressure against it is with physical attacks, setting up the Snow for their Excalibur is actually pretty awful. So this is going to be a really tough one, considering we're back. This matchup might be really, really bad, but we'll see. I do think that it's potentially winnable if I get like a lot of calls right. And because they have Volcarona as a safety net, Sneaser's still a big threat. The Excalibur is a massive one, so it's really about, I think, focusing down on Excalibur and Volcarona as quickly as possible while not letting Sneasler be able to clean up my team. We're going to see the lead of Excalibur and King Gambit. Okay. Versus Gliscor and King Gambit. All right. Do they run Assault Vest on these King Gambits? I think that's a good question. They got a Fear Iron Head as well. I don't think they ever Ice Shard my Gliscor. I think I'm gonna low kick the King Gambit slot. I think I should just go Ninetales. I'm gonna go Ninetales. I'm gonna hard switch instead of U-turning because I don't want to risk Ice Shard, which they shouldn't, but just to be safe. I can see Excalibur protecting. Unfortunately, I have to give them the Snow Boost, which is really not great, but I do have to take the risk here. They protect fearing the Iron Head, which is really good for me. Okay. They'll protect? Nice. Big low kick into King Gambit. That's a great knockout. One of their resources gone. I don't know what kind of King Gambit set it was. If it was Assault Vest as well with low kick, I kind of had to go for that game anyway. I can't really Tera in front of the Excalibur that can Ice Shard. Or not Ice Shard, like Icicle Spear Pin usually is loaded dice. So that works out pretty well for me. Okay. Sneasler coming in. It's scary. It's still fine. All right. We're going to go out into our Incineroar for that Intimidate, which is pretty important. And let's get our Aurora Veil set up because this is going to be very crucial. I don't know if they're going to try to fake out or Dire Claw the Ninetales, but with this Intimidate, we'll be able to take the attacks a lot better. We'll be able to get a Aurora Veil up, hopefully, and then we should be able to sponge attacks with our King Gambit later on. The problem is we still have not gotten the damage I need into the Excalibur, but we do see a Tera coming out from my opponent, which is surprising. Sneasler going for the Tera, the Stellar Tera. This might be Dire Claw to try to prevent Aurora Veil then, I'd assume. And I'm glad I got the Intimidate off. Yeah, that is exactly what they went for. Okay, this is super ideal. Yeah, Ninetales able to hang on. Nice, no Dire Claw status. Beautiful. Aurora Veil is set up. Okay. Really, really good. Really, really good. Scale shot into... Nice. Nice dodge Incineroar. Nice dodge Incineroar. Okay. I might go for the Tera. Do I want to Tera Ice? I might go for the Tera Ice with Gliscor. It might be a good play. Close combat's still going to do a decent amount of damage to my team. I got to think about this carefully. I don't really need Ninetales anymore unless it's Doze on the back. Even if it's Doze on the back, I should be okay with the amount of pressure that I can have. I think I want a parting shot out the Sneasler and just Blizzard. They might just double protect here or coaching. Ooh. Okay, coaching is scary. They are -1 though. Intimidate. Oh, actually, the defense boost is pretty big. I actually do some good damage though to the Excalibur Blizzard though. Okay, here's the scale shots that are gonna be fired off. Luckily, that Aurora Veil is being super clutch right now, allowing us to tank the attacks 4 times as well is pretty nice. I wish I parting shot out the backs, but they are basically just +1 speed, I think, because all the stats have been negated from scale shot to defense boost, the intimidate from the attack. Okay, yeah. So we get a parting shot off. I could have flare blitz potentially, but I didn't know if they were switching into something in the back that could have handled it. I guess I'm gonna go King Gambit here. King Gambit's not a bad play. Because I bait close combat probably into King Gambit. I like going back into Incineroar. Because they might go for the Icicle Spear plus close combat pin into King Gambit, which is fine. I'm going for the Blizzard because I would love to knock on the Sneasler. Because if they go for that double up into my Incineroar slot, I'm able to get the knockout into the Sneasler with the Blizzard because of the special defense drop. Plus the Rocky Helmet chip. But we're going to see a smart switch from my opponent. Okay. That's not Rillaboom. What is that? Oh, it is Volcarona. Okay. Okay, Volcarona. That is the other demon boss that I have to work with in this match. But at least Excalibur going to be intimidated down. All right. They usually cover cloak on the Volcarona, so I have to watch out for that. Oh, they Ice Ghost Spear my Ninetales. That's not gonna do any damage from Roar Veil. Okay. Oh, that crit. That shouldn't matter. I don't think that puts me in Ice Shard range at all. Yeah, that doesn't put me in Ice Shard range at all. Okay. Blizzard into backs again. Good damage. I'm going for the parting shot into the Volcarona, and I'm just going to Blizzard again. I just keep going for Blizzards. There's really no reason not to. This endgame's still scary because the Volcarona is in when I couldn't get Gliscor in safely. I'm just parting shotting always because it's super safe. If they go for Protect, that's fine. All right, we Blizzard. This endgame is actually really tricky. So what do I need in this endgame? I need to KO the Excalibur with Iron Head. Yeah, I need to KO the Excalibur with Iron Head. So I can't get Gliscor in, unfortunately. I have to go out into my... King Gambit first because I can't Tera Ice the Gliscor in front of the Volcarona. That is very bad. So we're going to go out into King Gambit, which with Volcarona being at neutral and the King Gambit or the Excalibur, like how low special attack? -2? Oh, it's only -1. But I guess we can just... We always Iron Head that slot and we Protect. I am not going to Terra because they can double up the King Gambit with Icicle Spear, and I never want that to happen. What's also nice is they did have their... The defense from Snow is gone, which is actually kind of nice. Well, let's see. We will protect Ninetales. They just protected the back, so that's beautiful. They go for Icicle Spear into the Ninetales slot, which is interesting. I guess they want to single target Heat Wave potentially into the King Gambit. Yeah, they go for Heat Wave. Should be eating this attack fine. Yeah, King Gambit eats that extremely well. Iron Head gonna come out into the Excalibur, pick up that knockout. All right. So I just gotta watch out because Volcarona might have the opportunity to set up Quiver Dances because the Sneasler's coming in. How many turns of Roarveil do I have? 3. I have 3. I think Incineroar is the correct play here. And I'm debating about going hard Gliscor. The problem with going hard Gliscor, because the thing is, I think I have to read of a Quiver Dance or I have to read them Heat Waving. I think I'm going to go hard Gliscor. They're only at neutral special attack at the worst case, and I do have the fake out pressure. So the idea here is most of these Volcaronas on these teams run both Rage Powder and Quiver Dance, so they don't have Protect. If I can fake out the Sneasler and go for the Quiver Dance, I should be in a safe spot. So let's bring out the Incineroar. We have Intimidate into the Sneasler. If they Quiver Dance, I should be able to tank attack within the Roar Veil. They go for the Heat Wave, and Gliscor dodges, which is beautiful. And they go for Coaching to get their defense boost up. That makes sense. Okay. Could still come down to some dual wing beat stuff, but we are going to go for a fake out into the Sneasler because I can't let another Coaching go off, and I'm going to dual wing beats the Volcarona. If they change the Volcarona to have Protect, this is going to be very tough. They protect Sneasler, but it doesn't look like they protect Volcarona, so gotta land dual wing beats. Gotta land dual wing beats, please. I gotta land the dual wing beats. Quiver Dance, beautiful. All right, hit the dual wing beats. I think we have room for error for 1 miss potentially. Dual wing beats hits. No flame body on the first hit is incredible. We are able to knock out the Volcarona. No flame body at all is beautiful. And then Sneasler should not be able to beat Gliscor, especially with the Aurora Veil setup. And we have so many Pokemon in the back alongside our Tera with a healthy King Gambit. So yeah, that is going to be game. We're going to Flare Blitz. We're going to dual wing beats, and the game is ours. They go for close combat into the Incineroar. We are fine. I think even if they hit that Heat Wave, like Gliscor should have been able to tank the attacks just fine. So perfect. Whew. I'm just glad, man. I'm just glad. I'm just glad we were able to position pretty well here. I think for the most part, against the Excalibur, we were able to play well. they weren't pinning my slots with like close combat icicle spear, and that's really nice. The fact that I was able to get good chip damage set up the Aurora Veil without the Dire Claw status too, because that's always a factor, was beautiful. We were able to get Gliscor in pretty safely as well, especially helped with the Heat Wave miss. As long as there wasn't a burn though, I think we were in a pretty good spot regardless. Garchomp, Indeedee female, we have our Caledon Pelipper, Alolan Ninetales Golden Gold, dual weather. Huh, okay. Not sure what I'm expecting here, but it is a bit scary. It is a bit scary. I do... It's so weird just Terraring and Weather Warriors here. It's really weird. Our Caledon's super tough. Our Caledon is super tough for this team, I think. I do like Vivian. Vivion's pretty good. I think Vivian plus Gliscor might not be terrible because it puts on a lot of pressure. It really depends because I don't know what to expect. Is it Scarf Gold on this team? If it's Scarf Gold, we actually have problems because Make It Rain with Scarf is going to screw up my Gliscor plan. Because I'm leading this because it's like if they lead the rain mode, I have Sleep Powder with Vivian. I have U-Turn with Gliscor. I can go out of Ninetales. The rest is very difficult though. I am bringing the Ninetales because it does pressure the Pelipper as well as the Garchomp. I want to bring King Gambit for the Golden Go and the Ninetales and the Indeedee. So our Caledon is basically the biggest threat here, and it is going to be a big factor. The fact that they actually have a Ninetales 2 to partner up is really terrifying, actually. It is pretty terrifying because if I'm forced Tera with Gliscor, then there is the weakness of being weak to Flash Cannon, and I usually can't knock out our Caledon one shot with Gliscor, so this is going to be an extremely difficult game potentially. Let's see. Garchomp Ninetales. All right, this is acceptable. We lead our Vivian plus Gliscor. We also have the ability to switch out too, which is also another consideration I am thinking of going for. Like I could Tera my Gliscor. I could go for Tera Ice Tera Blast, but I don't think that's ever worth it. Do I want to go for... The thing is though, if I go for Earthquake, it's a bit weird in this situation as well. I think my play is to protect Vivian, and I think it's actually go for the Tera, and I actually think it's to U-turn out the Ninetales. Yeah, I'm going to U-turn out the Ninetales. You might be thinking like, why are you making this play? One is because I don't want to lose Vivian early in the game. And because I don't want to lose resources early, because it's a Weather War, if they have Pelipper Cal in the back, it's weird. I think my best idea here is to have a switch into the ice moves as well as like ground, because I'd be able to switch into like Stomping Tantrum with the snow defense boost. Garchomp protects because they're scared of like what I could possibly offer with the Gliscor. Okay, nice. As we protect Vivian. And we should be able to go for a U-turn very safely into the Alolan Ninetales as they click Blizzard. All right, beautiful. Could have went for like a Sleep Powder or Tailwind here, but I do think that this is a pretty decent trade. That is offensive Ninetales. Yeah, that was Life Orb damage. That was insane. We are able to get U-turn off into the Ninetales. All right. And we're going to go out into our Ninetales in this slot. I don't think they ever go for a ground type move. I think you're worried about Sleep Powder from Vivian. I think you're going to double up the Vivian with Dragon Claw. You might Tera here with the Garchomp. So I'm going to go for Aurora Veil and switch into King Gambit. There is a chance they go into Pelipper, but then they also risk the option of Freeze Dry and Sleep Powder, which I don't think you really want to risk. So I think it's more likely that you're just going to stay in and double up my Vivian. So I'm going to King Gambit here, as we do see the Terran response. Excellent. Okay. So I am getting them on some crucial reads, but the problem is it enough to win this game? Terrify on the Garchomp, so now it's weak to my Gliscor Earthquakes, which is cool. Aurora Veil, nice, and if that is a speed tie between the Ninetales potentially, that's really nice that we do get the Aurora Veil up first. They go for Icy Wit. The Gambit is pretty strong now. That is a +2 Defiant. Very nice. Okay. I mean, we hang on, but that's absolutely absurd. That's absolutely absurd. Why are you terrified? Fire Terra Blast. Like any other just Dragon Claw would have been fine. Oh boy. I'm going Gliscor here, I think, and I'm going to Sucker Punch to Garchomp because I am able to switch in pretty comfortably against these mons. With Gliscor. Oh, it's Terrifier Terra Blast, so I have no clue now. They protect Garchomp, which is fine too. Alright. What's the Ninetales going for? Moonblast? Does it have it? Sucker Punch attempt. I could have Iron Headed the Ninetales, which would have been better, but I did go down to the combination of like a Blizzard. They have Aurora Veil. Oh my goodness, what is this team, man? This is so weird of a position. I'm trying to think of what's better. I don't know if Gliscor goes down to the double up. Well, it's Icy Wind Blizzard with Aurora Veil, so I assume Protect. I think I'm gonna go for... this is really tricky. I think I'm gonna go for Earthquake Sucker Punch into the 9 to... Man, they're getting me on every single turn. It's insane. Oh, is this... Oh, no, it's Entity. That makes sense. Okay, so no matter who I Sucker Punch, I got this read wrong. But I did Earthquake myself, and actually, this might be a fine position depending on what the Garchomp did. Please tell me you're going for the King Gambit, but I'm assuming it's the Gliscor. Terrifier, Terrible. I don't think this knocks out Gliscor. Okay, but they target the King Gambit. That actually works out. That works out. I survived that? Oh, yeah, because they needed the Blizzard or Icy Wind damage. But I still think this works out. I do get a pretty strong hit off into the Garchomp. That is ideal. I don't have Icy Window on the Ninetales, so I think I'm forced to go Vivillon. What is our last Pokemon? That's what I want to figure out. We're going to go Vivillon because we can threaten... We threaten Sleep Powder, but I'm more interested in the Tailwind here. So I think I'm going to go for Tailwind. Please don't Trick Room with the Entity. Please don't Trick Room with the Entity. That's the only thing I'm trying to dodge here. But I don't know what the Entity wants to do. It could click Psychic here to break potential Focus Sash on Vivillon. But I really think I need the Tailwind up so Earthquake can sweep because the Ninetales is still a big threat as they follow me. Wait, that's really good for me. Okay. They go for Terra Blast, but with that Snow defense boost, I should be fine, right? I should be fine. Okay, Gliscor tanks it extremely well, by the way. We get an Earthquake off. Also, since it's Life Orb on the Ninetales, they're not able to have a Aurora Veil for all the turns. But it is still going to be like, what, 2 more? Snow fades, I think, this turn. We get the Tailwind set up with the Vivillon. Snow does stop. Okay, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. This should be what? 9 Tails coming in? If it's Pelipper, I think I'm in an okay spot. But yeah, Ninetales does come in. I'm just going to go for Hurricane into the Entity and an Earthquake. I could Sleep Power to Entity, but I think I'd rather take a knockout if I can. So let's go for Hurricane and let's go for Earthquake. Because I'd rather just get as much offensive pressure as I possibly can. And we can Sleep Powder threaten the next turn as well. I don't want Trick Room going up. So we get rid of the Entity. Also, I don't think Hurricane would have knocked out Ninetales. I guess I could have Sleep Powdered, but there was Safety Goggles potential on the Entity. Blizzard going to come out. All right, we are able to hang on. Very nice. Get the Focus Sash. They also take a Life Orb chip. Are they in range of another Earthquake? Close. Pelipper is the last. I'm surprised they have not been switching to Pelipper. That works out for me because they get rid of the rain or get rid of the snow, which means I can Sleep Powder the Pelipper and I can Earthquake the Ninetales. And now they don't have the snow defense boost. I should be able to outspeed KO the Ninetales. Sleep Powder recover the Pelipper. The only thing this does not cover for is Safety Goggles or Lumberry, I guess. Those are the only 2. Chestoberry, 3. But those are not common items on Pelipper. Please just get the Earthquake off into the... Just get the Earthquake KO and the Ninetales and the Sleep Powder. I think my own Ninetales might be able to win in this end game too at this point, but yeah, we are able to get an Earthquake off, which is nice. There is one thing that could happen though that could actually be super scary, and that's if Pelipper dodges the Sleep Powder, KOs my Vivian, and I'm forced to Earthquake lock myself. But it looks like I will get the Sleep Powder off into Pelipper, so I should win the game here. Because if they knock out my Vivian, I have to Earthquake my own Ninetales, and if they get like multiple protects, it actually becomes scary. Aurora Veil wears off, but I don't think we need it. We can go for Hurricane. We can swap out into Ninetales. Ninetales should be super safe to switch into since I'm at full HP. I still have Aurora Veil. Hurricane Confusion should knock me out, and if they do get the Hurricane Crit Confusion, I just switch out the Ninetales back into my Gliscor to sack it, and then Freeze Dry should win. So, oh my goodness, the guard jump was terrifying. Also, no Arcalon's kind of insane against my team when you think about it. I am very shocked they did not bring a Garchomp. Or not Garchomp, but an Arcalon into my team. Like, I think it was really good against my team, but they were a bit weak to Sleep Power, so I understand the lead. And then I guess they wanted a ground switch in. I'm surprised Inity came in, though. I guess they were really fearful of King Gambit, but we go for Hurricane, we go for Freeze Dry, we win the game. That could have been terrifying, but luckily, we were able to pull through, especially with Gliscor being a champion here. Talonflame, King Gambit, Garchomp, Amoonguss, Glimmora, and Pelipper. Alright, it's interesting to see solo Pelipper without an Arcalon on this team. We have Glimmora as well. A lot of interesting stuff. Okay. I do really like the King Gambit, but I do gotta watch out for the Glimmora because Glimmora does have access to really strong Meteor Beams. Ninetales is pretty good for the most part. I just gotta watch out if their King Gambit has a low kick because that's one of their best ways of getting rid of my King Gambit. I guess what's also tough about the Talonflame is if it has Wisp, because my team really doesn't like Wisp in general. I'm trying to figure out how I maneuver this because I don't really want to bring Arcalon, I think. Incineroar is not that great against this team other than beating the Talonflame into Garchomp. I think Vivian's actually pretty decent here. Vivian's not bad. I like Vivian. Do I like Gliscor? What do they lead here that I'm worried about? Talonflame and Garchomp? Probably. I like the idea of leading Vivian plus King Gambit, actually. Yeah, I think Vivian King Gambit's fine. I like Ninetales in the back, probably, and Gliscor is one of the better answers to King Gambit, switching in and out there. It also is pretty good against Glimmora. Let's try it out. I do think that this matchup, it's weird because they have a lot of faster mons. They have Tailwind. Pelipper actually does do quite a bit of damage. I gotta watch out for Weather Ball if I Tera, because if I get the snow up, then I'm gonna be affected by the ice type Weather Ball, which is not great. But they lead Talonflame plus the Glimmora, which, okay, this is actually pretty reasonable. I actually like this lead. I can go for an Iron Head and Tailwind. I don't really care about Toxic Spikes too much because I'm only affected really with the Ninetales, and I don't think it's that big of a deal if Ninetales gets the... Well, unless this is dual wing beats. Are you dual wing beats on the Talonflame? I do like the idea of just going for the Tailwind. And I think I'm just going to go for an Iron Head into the Glimmora. This might be Safety Goggles Talonflame, which is fine. But we're going to see a Tera come out for my opponent, so my opponent is going to Tera immediately. Is this the Glimmora? It is Glimmora. All right, into Tera Grass. Okay, so it's vulnerable to Hurricane now, which is nice. What is the Talonflame going for? This also covers Sleep Powder for my opponent, so it makes sense. We're going to see Talonflame Protect, which is actually super ideal here, as we're going to see a Tailwind come out from Vivian. So that is really nice. I guess that's a way they could play around Sleep Powder or both if it's not Safety Goggles on the Talonflame. Iron Head going to come out in the Glimmora. Pretty good damage. Toxic Spikes are going to come out, but that's all right. And we're going to see a Meteor Beam come out. I assume this is going to be out into the Vivian. I don't think I'm really scared of Glimmora. They also can't tear the Garchomp anymore, so this is really nice. They are vulnerable to my... They're vulnerable to my... What's it called? Why am I forgetting the name? Ninetales. So I think this is okay. They are going to get one more turn to Tailwind, but if I can clean this up quickly, I should be acceptable. Also, Glimmora might be in range of Sucker Punch now, so I think I'm going to Sleep Power to Talonflame and Assurance. if they go for the Brave Bird KO into Vivian, unless it's acrobatics or dual wing beats, because they take recoil, Assurance should KO the Talonflame, and that would be really good. So I'm going to go for Sleep Powder and Assurance into the Talonflame. Granted, I could have went for Hurricane, but that's fine too. They actually go for a Spiky Shield. Is this Tailwind? No, Acrobatics. Ah, that makes it... I mean, that's not too bad either, actually. No, that's not too bad. Because the fact that they're Acrobatics, the fact that I get this Assurance off into the Talonflame is actually kind of nice. Yeah, that's actually some pretty solid damage. Now I have a few options. The Talonflame, most likely faster than my King Gambit. I can go out into Gliscor and click Dual Wing Beat, and King Gambit should be faster than Glimor. Again, Iron Head off. Yeah, so I think I go Gliscor here and I threaten to Dual Wing Beat. Because I could go Ninetales for the Freeze Dry or the Blizzard, but the thing is there's a Pelipper still in the back that I have to watch out for. I'm going to go for Dual Wing Beat into the Talonflame. I'm going to go for the Iron Head into the Glimor. I should be getting 2 knockouts. I don't really want to cover switches right now. I don't think there's really any reason to. And no Protect, actually. So I am going to be able to get the Dual Wing Beat KO into the Talonflame. So excellent. Talonflame goes down. And we're going to probably get that KO in Glimor before I can attack with that Iron Head. I believe I am faster, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So Iron Head going to come out, KO to Glimora. Now it's a double layer Toxic Spike, but as I mentioned before, unless I'm tearing the Gliscor, the only Pokemon that's affected in this game is Ninetales, and that's completely fine. If it's Garchomp, I do want to keep the Ninetales around, so it really just comes down to the last Pokemon. I imagine it's going to be King Gambit, and if they do tear something like a flying type, I'm in a good spot. We're going to see the Garchomp come out. Is this King Gambit? Oh, Pelipper. Interesting. I think I should have the Sealed then, because Gliscor and King Gambit don't really care about Garchomp, especially when I have Ninetales in the back. So I think my play is just to double up the Pelipper slot with the Dual Wing Beats and Assurance. I'll go for my Tera just in case I need it, because then that allows King Gambit to pretty much wall the Garchomp other than Rock Slide or Dragon Claws. I'm really not scared of the Garchomp. The Pelipper is the main threat, because Pelipper can match a Tailwind. It also threatens more damage than the Garchomp in general with Weather Ball. So we'll go for the Tera with our King Gambit. As Pelipper going to reveal Helping Hand. Is this Helping Hand Earthquake? But I do get the Dual Wing Beat off into Pelipper. I break a Sash, which is very, very nice. Okay, awesome. And Assurance will definitely KO as long as I connect. They went for the Stomping Tantrum. They were hoping to get the KO on the King Gambit. And yeah, I definitely can see it, but I did go for the Tera Flying just in case, because Tera on water on Ninetales doesn't change anything here. Now I should guarantee the game, because I can go for Dual Wing Beat and Assurance in the Garchomp. With the Ninetales in the back, I was super safe. So beautiful. I think it just really ended like a great start to the game. The fact that they were really being cautious about Sleep Powder because of Glimor being fat or slower than my Vivian, I can just go for a Tailwind pretty safely. And even if it was safety calls on Talonflame, I wasn't really too concerned. Acrobatics did end up changing it a bit because of the fact that, you know, I could have got the Assurance knockout, but the fact that I didn't match the Tailwind just made it so much easier for me. And even if they did match the Tailwind, like the fact that Vivian would have been able to Sleep Powder the Talonflame, the Glimora's in threatened range of Ninetales, Gliscor, and King Gambit, and I just put on pressure on that slot, it's really tough for my opponent, I think, to win. All right, we have the Nils team with Corviknight, Tyranitar, Excadrill, Male Entity, Sneasler, and Magmar. We actually featured this team on the channel. This is actually going to be really rough, though. It's really rough. So Gliscor is good against Tyranitar and Excadrill. It's really good against the majority, but the problem is Entity is kind of a problem. The Sneasler is also a bit concerning. Oh, this is going to be super rough. I'm debating about not bringing the snow mode against this team, which is insane to say, but I think I actually can't bring the snow mode. I'm trying to think of, like, there are 2 modes my opponent can go for. The Excadrill combination with Tyranitar, which I think is easier to deal with because Gliscor probably beats the Excadrill mode. My bigger concern is the Entity Sneasler with Corviknight game plan, because I think that's really rough to deal with. Because I need Arcalon to beat the Corviknight. Magmar is also actually kind of annoying for my team because special fire type moves are not great, and it's also pretty bulky. I'm gonna lead Gliscor plus King Gambit, I think, and Incineroar in the back for the Intimidate and Orcaladon. I'm leading the specific lead because if they lead Male Entity next to Sneasler, so I kind of bait them to go for like a close combat plus expanding force. And then if I can get rid of the Entity, the Gliscor is in a lot safer position because they only have one special attacker. I guess two if you account the Magmar, but the Magmar is a lot easier to handle than the Choice Scarf Male Entity. And it looks like we are going to see the Male Entity Sneasler. So this might work out. This might not. We'll find out. I am leading with the Gliscor and the King Gambit as they do lead the Sneasler and Entity. I'm going for my Intimidate switch with the Incineroar to switch into the Psychic type attack. And I'm going to go for my Tera Flying because I should be able to tank close combat with Expanding Force with ease. And then go for the Assurance into the Male Entity. With that Assault Vest, the attacks we should tank fine, and then the Sneasler also takes a -1 defense drop from the close combats. We bring in the Incineroar to waste a White Herb, but mainly because we need our Gliscor still around because Gliscor is so important for this matchup. It's really important. All right, so we will go for our Tera Flying. We do need it to KO the Male Entity. Can we get this plan set up? So we go for that Tera Flying to resist a close combat. And hopefully with the Assault Vest is enough to take the Expanding Force as well. They do go for the close combat into the King Gambit. A lot of damage, but... Oh, that's a crit. I was like, I know it's neutral, but I don't think it should do that much. Yeah, okay. Expanding Force comes out into the King Gambit. That's now Tera Flying. We do tank it. Very nice, very nice. Assurance will pick up that knockout into the Male Entity. Good start. Good start. Getting rid of the biggest special attack threatener. The thing I have to watch out for is they do have Tera Flying on everything on their team, basically. So I do gotta watch out for that. Tyranitar is gonna come in, which is an interesting pick. Okay. I'm gonna... It's fake out coaching on the... On the... King Gambit. If it's Excadrill, I feel okay with my plan, I think. But if it's Corviknight, I gotta figure it out. I'm gonna Flare Blitz and Iron Head, I think, to Sneasler, because I want to try to get rid of it. I guess it depends on the speed of Tyranitar, because I don't have that much speed on King Gambit as well. But not switching to Rocks. You know what? No, I'm gonna Flare Blitz. I'm gonna Iron Head. It should Tera Flying the Tyranitar just in case my King Gambit is faster and goes for the low kick attempt. Yep, okay. I think this should be okay because I also threatened the Electro Shot into the Tyranitar now, which is also pretty big. They go for the close combat Incineroar. They take the Rocky Helmet damage. They drop their defenses, which is good. Oh boy, this is still going to be a little bit tough. It really depends on their last Pokemon. If it's Excadrill, I'm actually not liking the spot of it's Excadrill now. It is fast Tyranitar, and they do land a Rock Slide. Okay, King Gambit goes down. I gotta read right, because if it's Excadrill, I am screwing myself. But if it is Corviknight, I'm in a good... I'm in probably one of the best spots I could ask for. I just gotta hope, man. I think I just gotta hope. I just gotta hope that it is the... Corviknight in the back. I'm going into our Caladon. We're going to go for dual Wing Beats into the Sneasler. And we're going to go for the Protect with our Caladon. Pretty much all we can do here. So we'll go for the Protect. We'll go for the dual Wing Beat into the Sneasler. If this is Excadrill, we might still be able to win, but it's really unlikely. Because they have used our Tera. The Tera Flying does mean it doesn't have the Sand special defense boost. It still has the special defense boost from the Assault Vest. Coaching would be kind of awkward here if they read my Protect on our Caladon, but I think they're going to go for close combat plus like knock off a Rock Slide into our Caladon. They went for the Gliscor. They might have read the Protect, which is... I think Gliscor lives any attack. No, I can't afford to miss that dual Wing Beat! They did get a really good read off. But it just depends, right? Because If I hit the dual wing... Okay, who's in the back? If it's Corviknight, I think I won because I just Electroshots and I dual wing beat the Tyranitar for the knockout. Gonna Electroshot the Tyranitar, I guess, and dual wing beat the Sneasler. That's so silly. That's so silly. I'm actually mad. This game sometimes, man. This game sometimes. And that's one of the downsides to dual wing beats. I don't get why this is not a 100% accurate move. It's so weak. What's sad is I don't even get to find out the last Pokemon. If it's Excadrill, I accepted my loss. If it's Corviknight, I win the game. Because Corviknight cannot do anything to our Caledon, and I could just double up the Tyranitar the following turn after I knocked out the Sneasler. I outspeed the Tyranitar. I pick up the knockout. Like, oh my goodness. That's one of the downsides to using this garbage move. Okay, Sun is not a fun thing for this team. It should be playable though. I think. So I have Stalwart or Caledon. That doesn't help because I'm not Tera Electric. So I can't get KOs. Oh, how am I beating this Trick Room stuff? I think the play is just to lead Vivian to threaten the Sleep Powder next to Gliscor, I think. I think that's the call. I need Gambit in the back, pretty sure. And then last Pokemon. Is it Ninetales or Incineroar? I feel like it's Ninetales because I want Protect, right? Sun is going to be very tough under the Trick Room. Let's see how it goes. I'm bringing Vivian because Sleep Powder and Focus Sash kind of forces how they play exactly. I like Gliscor because it does threaten U-Turn, Earthquake, and Dual Wing Beats, which are pretty powerful attacks that can work out against my opponent. If I guess we'll see. The Entity should be what? Either Terra Grass or Safety Goggles. If we can force a Terra from the Entity, it does matter for my King Gambit because if it's not Terra Fire on the Torkoal that's coming out, King Gambit's able to sponge up the attack a bit better, because I probably will go for the Terra Flying game plan here. Incineroar might be like, normally Incineroar would be good, but I don't think I have the tools to support Incineroar against this team, unfortunately. I matches like what, Gallade Entity? Executor Entity is not what I expected. Okay. Versus Vivian and the Gliscor. Okay, interesting. It is Psychic Seed. Huh. Now they do have Expanding Force as a huge threat here, unfortunately for me. So I gotta think about this a bit carefully. I think I'm gonna Sleep Powder the Entity. And I'm thinking of going to King Gambit to cover for the Expanding Force play. Because they could go Torkoal and go for Expanding Force, and then I'm in a not great... I mean, it'd be a good spot, I think, for my... It'd be a good spot for my... What's it called? Vivian getting that Sleep Powder off into Torkoal, so I can buy turns. Oh, I think that's what they did. Okay, this could be huge. Unless they Sleep Powdered for some reason. This is Torkoal coming in, yep. This is really nice, potentially. If I can get the Sleep Powder in the Torkoal. We are going to see the Tera. I think this is Tera Psychic. So I am very glad I didn't risk my Gliscor immediately. If I risked my Gliscor, that would have been awful. They go for Tera Psychic, which means they're vulnerable to Sleep Powder in the future turns. Okay. Please land the Sleep Powder, Vivian. We have accurate Sleep Powders. That's the difference between me and my opponent. We have not guaranteed, but much higher odds of hitting that Sleep Powder. Okay, Focus Sash. Okay, we landed Sleep Powder. Perfect. This isn't Sleep Talk Torkoal, right? I don't think so. I really hope it's not. If it is, that's going to be a bit concerning. I'm just going to go for... I I could sleep powder the Exeggutor and swap out into Ninetales, and I think that might be the play. It covers if they expanding force or if they go for a sleep powder attempt into King Gambit without me losing too much. So I actually kind of like that. I'm gonna bring out the Ninetales. I can set up a Roarveil too if I want to, or do I Blizzard? The thing is, I don't think Hurricane and a Blizzard's knocking out Exeggutor. So that's kind of awkward part. I think I'll Roarveil for the King Gambit in the future turns of the game. So both of these Pokemon are guaranteed to take a 1 turn of guaranteed sleep. Both are vulnerable to Earthquake. I'm gonna Hurricane and I'm gonna go for a Roarveil, I think. So let's see what they decide to go for. If they both say asleep, that's excellent. If one switches out, which I could see the Torkoal switching out, that's fine. I just need, I think, Exeggutor. I think I need both of them not to wake up. One of them waking up is okay. Ideally, not the Exeggutor. I'm okay if Torkoal wakes up. That's a lot of damage. Exeggutor wakes up. Oh, but they went for Expanding Force. Okay, this is fine. That actually still did an impressive amount of damage. All right. Torkoal stays asleep, though. Okay. It would have been scary if they actually went for Trick Room and then Torkoal was able to wake up in the future turn, but this actually works out because the Exeggutor shouldn't carry Protect unless they change the team. Gliscor should be able to come in. I should be able to go for Earthquake pretty safely because they don't have any ground switch-ins now that Exeggutor's Terra'd, and we can go for Protect with our Ninetales. So this is not a terrible turn. I think it just depends on who's in the back. Who's in the back is going to be pretty important. They don't. Wow, that's aggressive. The fact that they're not switching out to Torkoal is insane to me. But I guess they don't want... I guess they want Indeedee to get in safely so they can get a free Trick Room up. Okay, that makes sense. Earthquake. Huge amounts of damage. Nice. Exeggutor goes down. Beautiful. All right, what's the Torkoal doing? Are you waking up here? Nice. 3 turns of sleep is really good here. Beautiful. I mean, they got 1 turn and 3 turns, so it balances out. This should be Indeedee, and you should be trying to get Trick Room up. I'm going to go for a Blizzard, and I'm going to go for the Earthquake, because I kind of want to get my Gambit in safely, if I can. So I'm going to Earthquake, and I'm going to go for Blizzard. This also covers if they bring in the Ursaluna. Because if they bring in the Ursaluna, then it's going down to Blizzard Earthquake, and then I think Terrifying King Gambit under Roarveil should clean up this end game. And if they don't switch, they give me a lot of damage to Indeedee, which is great. Earthquake is going to clean up the Indeedee and the Torkoal, or at least get a lot of damage to Indeedee. The Indeedee is now super low. This should be Trick Room. Okay, it should be Ursaluna as the last. And if it's Ursaluna in the last, I'm pretty sure that Gliscor is able to win by clicking Earthquake here. So this is... It should always be... Wait, that's not Ursaluna, is it? Delayed! Interesting. Okay, that also works. I'm going King Gambit, and I'm just gonna protect the Ninetales, I suppose. And what this allows me to do is I can go... Unless you go for a crazy Sacred Sword read into my Gliscor, and even if you do get that play right, I think I'm okay because I should have like enough turns of Aurora Veil, so Gliscor should be able to sponge up the attacks, and then as long as I'm hitting dual Wing Beats, I should be able to clean up. The reason I'm not going for a Earthquake here is I don't really want to be like locked into a situation where a Wide Guard potential is possible. They go for a Helping Hand with the Indeedee into the Gallade. I assume this is just Psycho Cut into my King Gambit. That's what I'm assuming here. Yep. Okay, perfect. It also had a high crit ratio, so this works out. Snow stops, but I have plenty of turns of Aurora Veil, 4 turns to work with. We're going to go for an Assurance into the Indeedee and pick up that knockout so I don't have to worry about redirection or follow me in the later parts of the game. And the Freeze Dry, I suppose, because it doesn't really matter what Ninetales does. But I just want to make sure that I'm not vulnerable to that Sacred Sword. They could go for Helping Hand Psycho Cut, but I don't think that should be enough to KO Gambit because Gambit is a very bulky Pokemon. So we should be plenty fine here just to fire off attacks. Assurance into Indeedee. Picks up the knockout. Beautiful. And what is Gallade doing? Sacred Sword into Gambit. Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. Okay, good. Freeze Strike gonna come out into the Gallade. Get some damage, but it doesn't really matter. Now I can just go for a Iron Head into the Gallade. I can go for a Freeze Dry as well. They need like mega crits here. They need to get extremely lucky with mega crits. Maybe I should have Sucker Punched here just to be safe, but it didn't matter. I am able to pick up the win. Nice. Oh, I'm glad I recognized that they could go for the Torkoal Expanding Force play. I've seen that play before, and it made a lot of sense here for the most part. They did trade the Torkoal, which ended up being really good for me because of sleep times, because special fire types are so bad for this team, but when they can't do anything, it's not a problem. Alolan Ninetales, Titan, Milotic, Annihilate, Rillaboom, and the Salamence. Huh. I don't think this is Belly Drum. This is probably just Slush Rush. They don't have the best support for Belly Drum, I'd say, on their team. King Gambit's really good against their team, but they do have Annihilate, so gotta watch out for that. I like my own Ninetales. Ninetales is pretty good here. Dealing with Milo is going to be tricky. Do I want to bring Gliscor? Because Gliscor is not good here. I mean, it's not bad. I think if I Tera Ice it, it's not awful. And I feel like I'd probably Tera to Gliscor more likely. You know what? I'm going to bring Gliscor. Gliscor and Ninetales doesn't seem awful, especially with Aurora Veil setup. I like our Caledon. And I like the King Gambit. I don't really like Incineroar too much. It's great against Rillaboom, Titan, and Ninetales. But against the rest, where I feel like you should be bringing them, right? You should always bring the Annihilate for the King Gambit. Milo, I think, is pretty annoying for my team in general to handle, especially with the Incineroar. I think you bring both of them. And then I don't know if you're going to actually bring your Snow mode. I feel like you might. Salamence is weird against my team because I do have Ninetales, which really... Salamence does not like, unless they really want to switch into Incineroar that can slow it down. And then Rillaboom, it's a question mark. I have Snow. I have a lot of Pokemon Rillaboom doesn't like, but they don't bring Rillaboom, makes it ideal. First, see Ninetales and Annihilate. Okay, versus my Gliscor and my Ninetales. Okay. So I am gonna go for my Tera to resist everything. I'm gonna go for dual Wing Beats, I suppose, into the Annihilate, and I'm gonna go for Aurora Veil. Let's see if this even works, because A, there is Aurora Veil potential under Ninetales. B, they could have Tera on the Annihilate, and I'm gonna give them a bunch of Rage Fist boosts. So this might not go super ideal. It really just depends. It really just depends. Because if they have Aurora Veil, that's already pretty bad. I should be faster than Annihilate guaranteed with the Gliscor, so I should be able to get an attack off before it goes for bulk up if they don't expect to dual Wing Beats. We will go for the Tera on the Gliscor, making sure we're not vulnerable to any of the blizzards, and hopefully we get the Aurora Veil up if it is a speed type between our Ninetales, because actually, no, probably not. Okay, no, we are. We are able to get the Aurora Veil up with the Ninetales. Cool. What's their Ninetales? Also Aurora Veil. Okay, yeah, it's fast. Okay, we get a dual Wing Beats off into the Annihilate. That's actually some really good damage, though. Yeah, that's some really good damage. Okay. Do appreciate the damage. They go for a Drain Punch into Ninetales, actually. It does no damage because of the Snow defense boost plus the Aurora Veil, so I'll gladly take that. I will gladly take that. I have no idea what support moves you have on the Ninetales, but I am going to try to attempt a Freeze Dry in case it's Tera Water plus a dual Wing Beats. If they have Encore, we'll play for a speed tie, a potential speed tie. Because I did forget that I am actually max speed on the Ninetales. We do see a Tera come out. I don't know what Tera you are. Are you Tera Steel? If you're Tera Water, I went for the Freeze Dry for this purpose, but if you're any other Tera, could get a bit ugly. Yeah, like Tera Fire is definitely a bit ugly here. Although I might still get the knockout with the Freeze Dry damage, so we'll see. It's gonna be close. Freeze Dry. That's close. I think I'm gonna barely miss it, but we'll see. Oh, they have Icy Wind. That makes sense too. Okay. I have Cover Cloak on my Ninetales, but the Gliscor did take quite a bit. Let's see, gonna be Drain Punch and not Rage Fist actually, so they don't really do too much damage. Okay. Interesting. Dual Wing Beats into the Annihilate. I don't know, it looks super close, but I think it's not leftover, so I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna go King Gambit because I think they're gonna try to Rage Fist if anything, and I'm gonna go for the Blizzard Stronger or Freeze Dry? Probably Freeze Dry again. I'm pretty sure Freeze Dry is stronger because Blizzard, it's 0.75. Actually, no, Blizzard is stronger here. I should have went for Blizzard. Okay. King Gambit comes out. They Icy Wind again. If they Rage Fist or if Freeze Dry picks up the knockout, this is actually a pretty good spot because we do have the Define going to go up. I hope they didn't Drain Punch again, but I feel like you should Rage Fist here. They did Rage Fist. They target down my Ninetales. Oh, wait, I'm Light Clay. I keep mixing up my teams. This is Snowcloak. Okay, that's fine still. That's fine. Well, it's not ideal, but it's okay. I'm going to go Gliscor. Because I can threaten the Sucker Punch and Annihilate at least, and I can threaten high horsepower, so not awful. Actually, I'd probably Dual Wing Beats because I'd probably want to catch the Rillaboom on the switch. If they do go for it. I'm going to Sucker Punch the Annihilate, and I'm just going to Dual Wing Beats the Alolan Ninetales because they kind of have to make a play here. They're really not in the best spot because their Ninetales can't do much. Annihilate's going to protect, which is fine because I do threaten the Sucker Punch. They Icy Wind again. I mean, that's a big boost to me, so I'm okay with that. Sucker Punch fails. They go for Blizzard for damage, but as you can see, they're just not doing any damage. I do miss Dual Wing Beats, but that's fine. I'm just going to Sucker Punch and Dual Wing Beats the Annihilate slot this turn because I don't really care about their Ninetales. It's just not doing anything against my side. If they attack with the Annihilate, they just get screwed here, so I'm okay with this. And if they switch out, I mean, somebody's taking a Dual Wing Beats, which is nice. They go for Bulk Up, it looks like, so that's why I went for Dual Wing Beats because I want to make sure that the Annihilate is not too much of a threat. Dual Wing Beats gonna pick up that knockout into Annihilate. It also did help that they didn't Icy Wind, so goodbye Annihilate. That was their big answer to King Gambit, so I'm kind of curious if they actually have a King Gambit answer now. Snow is about to end. Yep. Okay, so it's probably Cobra Cloak on their Ninetales because of the fact that they didn't have Light Clay, so I'd assume so. Maybe it's Focus Sash, but that's fine too. Rillaboom gonna come in. I still have Aurora Veil, so I'm very, very comfortable here to just go for attacks. The question is, what do I want to do? Grassy Glide, no shot at KO's Gliscor without the double up, right? I also do have my Archaludon, so I think I'm just gonna Iron Head the Ninetales, go out into Archaludon. They just forfeit. I was not expecting that forfeit, but I guess that's kind of the downside. I'm pretty sure they just had no answer to King Gambit. I'm pretty sure they just had like no answer to King Gambit that could actually do damage. I'm assuming it's like a standard Rillaboom. I'm assuming no high horsepower because I feel like you go for a high horsepower crit potentially, but yeah, it didn't look like they had an answer to King Gambit once they lost to Annihilate, and guess what? They lost Annihilate in the early parts. That's why I was aggressively targeting it, even at the cost of like Ninetales doing what it can. As long as it didn't freeze me, I didn't really care, but sure. Annihilate Golden Go with Murkrow, Berserker, the Scizor, and Bastion. This is a tough team because it's double. Oh my goodness, this is a tough team. All right, so what makes this tough? We have Berserker with Steely Spirits powering up the Golden Go and the Scizor's Steel type attacks. That wouldn't be so difficult. We have an Assault Vest, King Gambit, and Incineroar, but they also have a Annihilate, which makes this extremely difficult. And also Berserker does get access to Fighting Move, if I remember correctly. Not going to be an easy one. I think I'm going to try Vivian plus... Make it rain. Probably one-shots Archaludon, realistically. I think I'm going to do King Gambit plus Vivian. I think in the back, Incineroar and... Gliscor is probably okay. I mean, this is going to be tough. They also had the Basculegion, which I don't know what to think here. Is it going to be adaptability or is it actually Swift Swim? I don't remember. I know Murkrow gets Sunny Day. I can't remember if it gets Rain Dance. I want to say it doesn't. I'm pretty sure like the only Prankster mons that get Rain Dance are Klefki and Meowstic, if I remember correctly. So this is going to be a tough one. Like, this is actually a tough one. Using Snow against a multi-steel team that has good answers to steel types is pretty rough, but we'll see. We're going to see the combination of Golden Go and Murkrow. Okay, so at least King Gambit's a really good lead here. Don't Focus Blast turn 1 and we'll be okay. I'm actually just going to go for a Sleep Powder into the Murkrow turn 1, and I think Assurance into the Golden Go. Now, there can be a lot of cheese surprises like Tera Fighting. Maybe I should have went for the Hurricane attempt into the Golden Go, but we'll figure it out as we play along. I'm hoping that they just Tailwind and make it rain like they commonly do. And if they do, that's not too bad for me because then I can Tailwind the next turn. If they go for the Tera, I'm not sure if Assurance plus Sucker Punch will pick up the knockout. Chaos probably would have, but we'll see. It is going to be a Tera, which is not too surprising. On the Golden Go, yep. All right. Golden Go Tera Steel. Yeah, it just makes too much sense with Berserker. This should probably just be Choice Specs Golden Go, especially with Haze Murkrow, which you can go for the Haze with the Make It Rain. The Murkrow actually goes for Foul Play and the Vivian immediately. Okay, I do get the Sleep Powder off, which means we're probably both not getting Tailwind up in this game, but that's actually pretty fine by me. They go for the Make It Rain, so Vivian's going down, but we should tank this pretty well with King Gambit. Yeah, King Gambit takes it well. That Life Orb damage? I don't know if that's Specs damage. I have no clue, but Assurance into the Golden Go. Not bad damage, but not incredible damage. We're going to go into Incineroar because Incineroar now is pretty safe. Not really too scared of the Golden Go because it can't do too much. I think I'm going to double up the Murkrow with knockoff into a... I want to knock off Assurance to Murkrow? Perhaps. I think I do want to go for knockoff Assurance into Murkrow because it covers like every switch basically. Golden Go's probably retreating here, which is acceptable. They already used their Tera. I'm trying to figure out how I reposition this. Gold is going to retreat. Okay. I didn't want to like play super aggressive and get punished for it. They went Annihilate. I'm pretty sure knockoff and Assurance got the knockout, but I wasn't risking that. We're going to see the the Murkrow sleep there, which is nice. We do get a knockoff into the Murkrow as well as a Assurance into the Murkrow as well. So that's going to be some pretty big damage. It just picks up the knockout. Okay. So let's see. There should be Golden Go. They can't Tera, which is nice. I don't think they're going to be bulking up here, but that is a possibility. A lot of this game is just going to come down to what's in the back. Like, what's the last mon? How do I want to position? Because I do probably have to lock into a move with Gliscor. Oh, they actually reveal it now, which is actually handy. The Berserker is in. All right. If that's the case... do I want a Tera Fairy in this situation? I don't know if I really want to go for the Tera Fairy in this situation. I do think I want to go Gliscor for the King Gambit slot. I just don't know what I'm doing with Incineroar. I think I am going to go for Tera Fairy, and I'm just going to go for a Flare Blitz into the Berserker, and I'm going to go Gliscor on the King Gambit slot because if I move on to King Gambit's a bit too obvious. I don't think they're steel moving ever to Incineroar slot, so I feel like Gliscor should be able to come in safely. The problem is, what is the King Gambit moves? Because that's going to be a pretty important... Or now King Gambit. What's the Annihilate's attack? The Annihilate attacks are going to be super important for figuring out how I position the remainder of the game. Tera Fairy on the Incineroar. They close combat, so they have close combat on this Annihilate. Okay. What's the response on the Berserker? Oh, they Iron Head double up. Okay. I do get a Flare Blitz off into the Berserker. It is Focus Sash. All right. Is this Scarf Annihilate is the question. I'm kind of curious if it is. Oh boy, this is going to be super tough. I think I gotta go King Gambit here. On the Steel move. This is probably Iron Head in close combat. This is not going to be super pretty. I'm going to go for dual Wing Beats into the Annihilate. I think this is a lost cause. Because I didn't think they would double the King Gambit. It does make sense though, because they were probably trying to cover for a Tera. I guess I just wasted my Tera then on Incineroar. If I didn't Tera, this might be a game, but it depends on how fast the Annihilate is, because if it's Choice Scarf, then I'm losing. But if it's not Choice Scarf, dual Wing Beats comes out and I think I'm okay. So bring out the... Oh, it's not Choice Scarf. I thought this was. Dual Wing Beats is going to KO the Annihilate, and that means I'm actually in an okay spot. All right. That's actually so big. That's so big. What did they do here with the Berserker? Did they Iron-Headed, right? Yeah, they Iron-Headed the King Gambit. Okay. It should be Specs, right? It should be Specs on the Golden Go. All right, I'm going to go for Sucker Punch into the Berserker, and I'm going to go out into Incineroar so I can reset and go lock into Earthquake. Yeah, I do think that is probably better to reset here. Okay, let's figure it out. Sucker Punch. We do get the Berserker, so Berserker goes down, and then I'm pretty sure we beat the Golden Go. If it's not Choice Scarf Golden Go. The damage just seemed too little though. So here goes Make It Rain. That had to be Specs, right? It's probably a crit too, but yeah, it's a crit. I feel like that is Specs based on the damage. I think it's Timid Specs, because if it was Modest Specs, I feel like it probably did more to first hit. Incineroar goes down. I did not use a Tera well on the Incineroar, but that's fine. We're going out into our Gliscor, and as long as the Golden Go isn't Choice Scarf, we do outspeed the Gliscor and go for the Earthquake and pick up that knockout. So please tell me that this isn't Choice Scarf. Yeah, okay, it is Choice Specs. Like, it makes more sense with the Murkrow. Goodbye Golden Go, and that's gonna be... Oh wait, no, it's also because of the Steely Spirit as well. Did the Make It Rain crit matter? I think it probably still did, but King Gambit was probably go. It didn't matter anyway, because Gliscor was going to clean up the end game with an Earthquake. Even if the Berserker like went for Bullet Punch, as long as onto King Gambit to avoid a Sucker Punch, as long as Gliscor survived an attack from the Berserker, which it probably did. With the Intimidate, I should be fine under most circumstances. I think it just came down to the item, mainly on the Annihilate. As long as I got the KO into Annihilate, and it wasn't, thankfully, the Choice Scarf. It might have been Focus Sash, who knows. The fact that I was able to KO the Annihilate, and then it was the 1 HP Berserker, weakened Golden Go, added a Gliscor that could lock in an Earthquake that was still decently healthy, and I had Intimidate as well, so even if like there was a Bullet Punch of Berserker, as long as I was able to get an Earthquake off, I was still good. Talonflame Magmar with Rillaboom, Sylveon, King Gambit, and Water Tauros. This is a really rough matchup, I think. Water Tauros doesn't make this easy. Yeah, this is going to be tricky to deal with. The Talonflame plus Magmar, like double fire type, that's going to be difficult. That's going to be difficult for this team, man. It's going to be difficult. I don't think I can bring Vivillon because Magmar is actually an offensive threat, and Vital Spirit with Follow Me is just not an option that I'm really good against. I could bring Archaludon. Archaludon's not awful. I just wish I had a way to hit Sylveon with Flash Cannon. But I do have King Gambit for Iron Head. I think I like the idea of Ninetales lead. Ninetales Gliscor doesn't sound too bad to me, because Gliscor is faster than most of my opponent's Pokemon other than potentially Tauros, because they can sometimes run Adamant over Jolly. I think I want Incineroar because it's like one of my fire switch-ins, literally, and intimidates for the Tauros. I don't know, this is going to be super rough. We'll see what we can do here, because it's It's tricky. It's tricky. Magmar is actually an offensive threat, and it's actually kind of hard to get rid of unless I go for a knockoff and get rid of the Violet. We're going to see the Sylveon plus the Magmar. Okay, that makes sense. That's pretty scary, but we do have Gliscor next to Ninetales. Do I want to go for Earthquake or do I want to go for Dual Wing Beats? I kind of want to just Earthquake, man. I just want to click Earthquake. I do just want to click Earthquake. So I think I'm going to set up an Aurora Veil. And I'm going to go for Earthquake. If they go Rillaboom, good play on their part. But I kind of need damage on the Magmar if they give me the damage. And they did give me the damage. So Aurora Veil will be set up. I'm going to go for Earthquake. This should do some pretty big damage. And thanks to the Snow Defense Boost plus my own Aurora Veil, Ninetales does not take much. Look at that damage to Magmar. That's incredible damage. They go for Will-O-Wisp into my Gliscor, which is fine. Because Gliscor is all right here. And we're going to see the Hyper Voice, okay? That's a good amount of damage. That's Pixie Plate or is that Choice Specs? Might be Specs. Actually, no, it shouldn't be Specs. I think I'm just going to go for what? Blizzard or Freeze Dry? If they switch in, it's probably like King Gambit. I could Protect EQ as well. Protect EQ isn't an awful play. I could try to cover a Rillaboom switch. All I needed Gliscor to do was get as much damage as I possibly can. So you know what? I'm going to go for Earthquake and I'm going to Protect. Even if they bring in Rillaboom, that's fine. Because then I get a free switch. Oh, and if they don't switch, that's pretty ideal. I could have got Blizzard or Earthquake off and got double knockout. But okay, Sylveon Protects. It's not Choice Specs. Yeah, it's probably Pixie Plate. So I'll still KO the Magmar, which is actually still ideal. I guess I could have got Blizzard switch to King Gambit, which would have been better. But I don't think this is... I don't mind this. I'm kind of curious on who they have in the back, but I guess because they saw that I didn't protect the Ninetales and was willing to go for the Earthquake, they didn't want to risk like me going for the Earthquake Blizzard to cover for like a switch into Rillaboom. All right. Is being brought out. If it's Tauros, I want to Freeze Dry that Mon because that Mon is a massive threat. A Talonflame coming in. Oh, for Tailwind. Okay. Interesting. I think my play here would be to sack the Ninetales. I'm just going to go for Blizzard damage, I suppose. I should be able to Terrafly my Gambit just okay in this matchup. The problem is... I actually don't think I can sack Ninetales, right? Because if I sack Ninetales, I lose to Tauros. I might have to switch into a Hyper Voice. Not ideal, but it's all right. I think I'm going to switch an Incineroar on a Ninetales slot in case they go for like a Taunt or something. Well, actually, no. What I want to switch into Taunt, I think this could be Flare Blitz, but I think this is probably Tailwind Hyper Voice. Like, I think Ninetales will probably live the Hyper Voice, but I need to make sure that I have another answer to Tauros Water, because if that's our last Pokemon, I need to make sure that I can threaten it. So we'll bring out my Incineroar and my King Gambit. I want them both on the field at the same time because now I can threaten the Talonflame with like Fake Out plus Assurance or Knockoff plus Assurance, which both are actually pretty good here. That one comes out. They go for Hyper Voice. Yep. With that Aurora Veil, I'm taking that pretty well. And now we go for that double up into the Talonflame. Talonflame's not doing that much damage, though. I could Iron Head to Sylveon. This could also be Protect Sylveon, and Talonflame switches down to Tauros, though, and I would want to damage if that's the case. So I think I'm just going to knock off Assurance. Oh, it's Overheat. That's bad. That's bad. It took Life Orb, too. I am able to hang on with King Gambit and knock off an Assurance will KO the Talonflame. It's down to the last... Oh, that's really bad. That's really bad. Okay. Goodbye, Talonflame. I guess what's interesting about this turn, though, is who's the final Pokemon? It's probably, yep, the Water Tauros. That's what I anticipated. Okay. Still all right. It's not the greatest, but it's okay. They're going to have Mirror Herb. Yep, not too surprising. What are you targeting? Are you going for Aqua? Are you going to go for Aqua Jet? I felt like you Aqua Jet if you have it. Into either Incineroar or King Gambit makes sense. I think my best play is just to sack the Gliscor and go for a Sucker Punch attempt. I probably need to Sucker Punch damage into the Sylveon, so I'm going to go for it into the Sylveon slot. Because I need Intimidate into the Tauros and I need Fake Out Pressure again. Oh, they have Quick Attack. Okay, that makes sense. Quick Attack goes into Kingambit, picks up the Knockout, then they go for the Raging Bull? Or Wave Crash, yeah, that works too. Okay. So Gliscor goes down. Please tell me Snow runs out here, but I think Snow still is one more turn. Oh no, Snow does stop. Okay, nice. I get to reset the Snow for Ninetales. That's really good. I'm hoping that with the Snow boost plus the Aurora Veil, I'll be able to live one more Tauros attack. Okay, I think my best play is just to freeze dry the Tauros. I do have Aurora Veil up, right? Yeah, I do have Aurora Veil. I think my best play is to freeze dry the Tauros and go for Fake Out. I think I actually Tera Fairy in case the Tauros... I think Double Protect is more likely here, but I Tera Fairy here just to be safe. Don't be Tera Ghost on your... Okay, that works. That works. Actually, that might work out better for me because now they're actually vulnerable to freeze dry. That actually works. Okay. So I will go for the Tera Fairy here because the Tera Fairy is important for Incineroar potentially surviving this turn because I want to make sure that I can always threaten the Tauros in the future. Let's see if this is going to pay off though. Show me what you're clicking here. Fake Out. No protects at all. Wow. So I get good damage into Sylveon. Wave Crash going to come out. I need Ninetales to survive this. Oh. I thought I was surviving that. I know it's neutral Tauros and Wave Crash is a pretty strong move, but I really thought I was going to survive that. Wow. I am going to knock off, I guess, to Sylveon. My plan was to survive that turn. Wow, I'm actually super shocked. I'm going to check the Tauros calc. I do think it was tough. I thought I brought it back to a winnable position, but maybe not. Because it's Mirror Herb, so it's probably Jolly. Like Ninetales, I know it doesn't have the best defense in the world, but that was both Aurora Veil and like just having Aurora Veil itself is pretty good. With the Snow defense boost as well on top of that, I'm just shocked that did not survive. Huh. Wow, I'm really shocked actually. I am really shocked. Okay, I went into the damage calc and I realized why my calc was so off. I misremembered Mirror Herb gives you a +2 instead of a +1 off Defiant. So that ended up really changing the calc because I thought the Tauros was neutral. I definitely would live neutral Wave Crash with the Snow and the Aurora Veil, but I was not living a +1 through it. I guaranteed KO'd even if it was Jolly. Now, the only way I would play around this is if I knew that the Wave Crash was coming and I would have had to go for the Tera Water instead, because if I went for Tera Water I was actually going to be able to hang on guaranteed as if they were Jolly. And Adamant, I think like it's still pretty okay rolls if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, like I survive a majority of the time if I Tera Watered, so I guess I was gonna have to Tera Water the Ninetales. I thought like they couldn't KO the Ninetales, so I thought they were gonna go for the Incineroar potentially, so that the Sylveon got a single target Hyper Voice off if they did have that chance. But yeah, I definitely did mess up there. So if I wanted an out, I needed to remember the +2. So it was +1 Tauros instead of a neutral Tauros, and I would have had to go for this Tera Water on the Ninetales. Freeze Dry. Hopefully freeze dry KO, because I think that was my only shot, because if I don't get that KO I probably still lose. And really based on the damage, like I don't even run much special attack, I think it was probably pretty unlikely here regardless. So yeah, it looked really difficult. I would have had to probably go for a freeze or crit onto the Tauros otherwise, because I don't think the recoil was enough. Yeah, Water Tauros, definitely a bit of a tough one there. All right, let's go over to games. In game one wasn't the best start and needed a throw from my opponent, which I was able to get with a knockout into Porygon 2, denying the Trick Room and allowing me to flip the game into an advantageous spot. In game 2, difficult matchup, but with the turn 1 knockout into their Kingambit, the Sneeze are going for the Stellar Tera, and then taking a KO into their Excalibur, I was able to position Gliscor to eliminate the biggest threat, being the Quiverdan's Volcarona. In game 3, The fast lead was very tough for my team, especially the Tera Fire Tera Blast Garchomp. The Tera Ice Gliscor was able to tank the attacks with Aurora Veil up, and then next to Vivian was able to go for some really strong follow-ups to win the game. In game 4, had a great start as was able to get a tailwind advantage while my opponent didn't set up theirs. I was able to run over my opponent's team with Gliscor next to King Gambit. In game 5, dual wing beats, man. This game was so winnable since our Caledon was in a great spot to clean up the game as long as Sneasler was knocked out, but missing the knockout prevented me from doing so. In game 6, I'm glad my turn 1 call was correct with the expanding force and switched to Torkoal, so a free sleep powder into Torkoal and was able to build up a lot of damage to win. In game 7, an interesting game, but luckily was able to do massive damage and knock out the Annihilate immediately, and then they had no pressure to deal with my Assault Vest King Gambit, which their team was really weak to. In game 8, this game was tricky, but thankfully was not Choice Scarf on the Annihilate, which allowed Gliscor to be able to take all the knockouts remaining. In game 9, a rough series, but forgetting Mirror Herb gave them a +2 from the Defiant boost was definitely a mistake. They were also Life Orb Overheat Talonflame, which messed up a lot, which I was just expecting the common Covert Cloak set, so I needed to go for Fake Out into Sylveon or Talonflame instead, or would have needed to go for a Terra Water on Ninetales, but even then, Freeze Dry was probably not enough to knock out the Toro, so I'm not sure on that one. So this team, I don't know what to think about it. So originally, I wasn't sure if I was even going to feature this team because when I first tried it out, I was not doing well with this team. Let me just say, it was not doing well. It probably wasn't the best idea to try and use this team after playing a lot of games in the Global Challenge as well, which probably threw off a lot of my play, and I don't think I played the cleanest in this episode either. Well, I think the team does have quite a few weaknesses, especially special fire type attackers like Volcarona, like Typhlosion Sun, can be very difficult to handle. Some fast things can overwhelm you, especially because the only speed you really have is the Ninetales, Gliscor, and Vivian, and if they have like a double fast lead, it can actually still be pretty scary otherwise. And yeah, it is pretty tough to deal with some situations because most of the time, if you're going with that Aurora Veil mode on Ninetales, you don't have any other Pokemon you're bringing Protect most likely. With the Gliscor, Kingambit, and Incineroar don't have options to Protect, so pivoting around can be pretty scary as well. But overall, I'm really glad I gave it a second shot and was able to do really well in today's episode. Otherwise, the Gliscor was able to actually put in a ton of work, which it did struggle when I first used the team. And the King Gambit option, again, under Aurora Veil, like Assault Vest King Gambit is absolutely absurd. If you'd like to try out this recreation, it will be only up for a very short amount of time, so make sure you grab the rental code while you can. Otherwise, you can check out the details of the team and the original creator down below the description, and of course, subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always.